Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm your host, Bob DeMarco, and we just barely made it on. Apparently, there's something happening with my mic that is very disconcerting, and this is the second, well, ask Jim, it's happened more than that, but I'm going to say it's the second time where we've been just moments away. And here we are, and we're working, and the mics are working, so everything's good. Great to have you here. Coming up tonight, we'll do our pocket check as usual. Knife news, there's a new automatic EDC by Vox that looks beautiful. We'll talk about the Topps Battle Axe. A new Randall knife. We have a knife fight tonight. That's Japanese Katana versus European Broadsword. But the real discussion this evening, hey, Monster, how you doing? Good to have you here, sir. The real discussion, Michael Morgan, is that I want to talk about this far but no further. That concept, that's an old Radiohead song, but the concept, this far but no further. Penny, welcome. Great to have you here. It's just like, I'm going to get this one last knife because this will fill that hole. Hey, Martin, good to have you here. This will fill that hole in my collection, and then I will be satisfied, and no knives will have to ever be gotten after that. Buona sera. David, what's David in Italian? David. It's good to have you here, sir. You wrote me a really great email, and I'm working on one back to you because you brought up some interesting stuff, especially the combat application of the Bally song. Very interested in that, and if you learned it from Leo Gahe, you know it is the legitest of legitness. So here we are on Thursday night, and well, I'm curious, people, what were you carrying today? It is Thursday, so hopefully you had your most spectacular things in your pocket, and because Thursday really is Friday and Saturday, that's amateur night, that's bridge and tunnel night. Thursday, that's the real people, that's when the weekend begins. And it starts right here at Thursday Night Knives. So what were you carrying today? Today I had, since you asked, I'll tell you, I had the Emerson Elvia on me, of course, designed by Ed Calderon. Very interesting conversation with him on the TheKnifeJunkie podcast. Interesting guy with some crazy experience. And this is a knife that he designed and that Ernest Emerson put together. No, it is not an Emerson knife with a, it looks kind of like a piece arc, a small piece arc with a broken stop pin. It's not that. That is an on-purpose angle, because when you have it in reverse grip and with that edge in, and you're just kind of swinging for the fences defensively, the angle that blade comes out. What's up, NAF Sergeant? John through my lens. Good to have you here, sir. It was great having you last week and meeting you. Yeah, so that angle really aids in, I don't know, maximum damage. Who knows? But I just love the knife, and I think it's beautiful. And our good friend Tom Engelson over at Blades and Such on Instagram made these linen micarta handle, or canvas micarta handles, and beautiful backspacer too, pointy. Really enhances the feel of this knife in hand, but also I think that burgundy color is very suiting or suitable. No, suiting, I guess, for that knife. Kind of has that sort of aura. Okay, and next in the waistband today, holding up my jeans, was the Civivi Asticus. A knife I thought I cleaned off thoroughly before, but I did not, because I use my knives. This I used to cut some food at work, I believe, and that's some food residue. But this is a knife that I got for Christmas from my brother-in-law, an awesome guy who gives me awesome gifts, and this is no exception. I had the Civivi Asticus on my radar because Alex and Dirk and a number of other people I know, love, and trust on the internet did great reviews of this at the beginning of 2020. So to wrap up 2020 with this as a gift was excellent. It's got a magical three-factor, it's got a three-factor magic to the blade. It's a thin blade stock. It's a broad-shaped blade, and it's got a high hollow grind. So it is super thin and very, very slicey. And so we like that very much. The Civivi Asticus was in my pocket. What was in your pocket today? Those were the only two things I had. I started the day with the shark Sasquatch over here by Steingraber Performance Blades, Alex Steingraber Performance Knives. Great knife, but it ended up I wasn't wearing anything I could kind of cover it with today. And I got to work and I was walking around. And after a little while, I realized I had this just kind of hanging out on my belt like I was in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And I figured it wouldn't go at work. So I took it off. What I will be doing, actually, I've commented a lot on how this beautiful little knife in this awesome little sheath works really well on the belt. But as we move into the warmer seasons, I think I'll end up carrying this in the waistband like I normally do, like that. So that is that. What were you carrying today? Let us know here at the Knife Junkie podcast what you were carrying, what you. Some people do the wardrobe change when they get home. Oh, the Max Ace Samurai. That is a great looking knife. I was looking at a couple of your Instagram pictures of that and the Colossus. Hey, Brian, how's it going, sir? Slicey Dicey is here. It's great to have you. The Benchmade Proper. Do you have the red G10 or do you have the? Well, I guess at this point, this day and age, you can get a lot of different handles for it. Let me know which one you have. Hey, Jake, how's it going? Happy Thursday night knives to you, sir. Just Greg, how's it going? Red Rider Black and Blue Elephant's Toe. Oh, and a blue bug out. I happen to have this, and I love this. This is an elephant's toe that has Wharncliffe blades, or sheep's foot blades, I guess. This one is more of a Wharncliffe. But good taste, Greg. Good taste. And a gentleman and a scholar, I hear, from the people in his hometown. The intermittent gentleman was carrying the Cold Steel 8010. I was watching Kevin Cleary did a review on the 8020 today that was out, and he was comparing it with the 10 and the Fig 4 Max, and it just had me all cold steel after work today. Emerson CQC 10. That is a unique Emerson. That's one with a lozenge shaped hole, right? An opening hole. And a fairly big and broad spear point blade, I think. The 10. Hey, Benjamin, good to have you here. Benjamin was on last Thursday Night Knives, and showed off some of his exquisite handmade slip joints. Chief among them, the Peñas that you were showing were awesome. Carried a GEC number 93 in Cocobolo, sway back handle with a large ram's foot blade. That ram's foot is interesting. It's like it is interesting. It's long and slender, and then has that abrupt tip. If I'm correct. Hey, Blade Hobby. Today, my Kaiser Critical. That's a Wharncliffe. That's a Matt Christensen. Is that Matt Christensen? I think it is. Hollywood Tactical. Good to have you here. The Boca Gordito button lock with ghoul green Frank Franzetta painting. Frank Franzetta. I love those paintings. They helped form my manhood back in the 80s. Yeah, love Frank Franzetta. Spartan Harzy folder. Very, very good choice, Nav Sergeant. You, sir, have fine taste. Slip Joint Joe had a skiff culprit. It looks like Alex is going to loan me a skiff. I cannot wait to check it out. I found them very interesting people, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about those knives. The culprit. Nice. Michael Morgan says, today I'm carrying the ZT0562 tie and the 93 millimeter Swiss Army 1 in silver A-locks. 93. Okay. And the 0562 tie. Nice. I just had mine out. That's funny. I just had that. What's funny to me is like each knife that's being mentioned, I'm like, oh, I have that, or oh, I've used that, or oh, just the other day. But just the other day, I just had my 0562 out, and I was like, I should get a micarta scale for this made. I think it'd be nice. You know how I feel about carbon fiber. Michael Morgan says, nice Asticus, Bob. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I love it. And it's really thin. Actually, the reason I chose this today was its thinness. And 3.75, it's a nice, big, long blade. I like that. Hey, Martin Gamboa says, working from home, carried around my ZT 550 and ZT 462, thinking about picking up a 640. Definitely do that. What's the 550? That's the is that the first Hinderer design one? I keep thinking of the 0055, which I have right here, and is kind of on the selling block right now. This has been on and off the selling block numerous times, and no one has bought it. Like Susan Lucci at the Emmys. John says, did he say ass to kiss? I know that's, of course, that's what it sounds like. It's kind of hilarious. It's like kind of near where I live out here in Virginia, there's a place called Manassas, but of course people say, is that man asses? Civivi McKenna and Victorinox Tinker. Love the Tinker model. Monster, I think you were maybe carrying that last week. Right? The McKenna. I cannot keep my Civivis straight. At least they name them, though. Unlike the early Wii's that were all numbered. Bad Monkey, how's it going? F and Grow EF934, Cold Steel Pro Light Sport, Rough Rider Pipe Doctor. Oh, that's cool. And a Black Fox Bean Gen 2. Black Fox Bean Gen 2. So the Rough Rider pipe knife is cool because the Doctor pipe knife, because I really like the traditional Doctor knife in that it has the long blade, but then it has a paddle and it has a perfectly squared off pommel. And the idea is you use the blade to cut the pill in half or whatever. You're a doctor, you're making a home visit. And then you take the squared off pommel and you crush the pill. And then you take the flat paddle. There's a flat paddle on a traditional doctor's knife, and you use that to stir up your little potion before you give it to your patient. I think that's very cool. I love it. It's a historical thing that is now totally anachronistic, but I think it's neat. And then I also like pipe knives. And my dad used to smoke a pipe, and he had a very rudimentary pipe knife. But the idea of taking the doctor's knife and turning it into a pipe knife, love it. That's the long way of saying that. McDonald, how's it going? Greetings from New Orleans. Greetings. I've been there a couple times. Love it. Went there once for Jazz Fest. Stayed in a crazy place. And then I went there with my future wife, and it was awesome. Not my future wife now. She's my current wife and only wife, but she was my future wife at the time. Okay, I'll move on. Hey, Chris, how's it going? Your Tanto is in the mail. Chris just bought a Tops Interceptor from me. Very cool knife. Cold Steel XL Voyager clip point. Excellent choice. Is that in AUS 10 or 8? And the Kershaw Knockout M390. I love the Knockout. Such a great design. I always thought the Knockout deserved an extra half inch or extra quarter inch. Would it have even worked? But imagine the Kershaw Knockout as a 3.75 inch knife. That'd be awesome. Excuse me. Get very dry. The Guardian Recon 40 this morning. Beautiful knife. The Microtech Ultratech Tanto this afternoon. Now, your Tanto, Slicey, is the Mandalorian edition, isn't it? I think you meant love my SPK Shark. Yes. You described it in a video recently as a laser beam with a handle or something like that, and then mine arrived the next day, and I agree with you. This thing is incredible, and I just stropped up the crew wear just this very same night, and it's amazing. Really nice. Today I carried the Shirogorov F3R. F3R, is that the new-ish one? Like the retake? The Orion Solaris. I've been seeing people have been getting theirs this past week. Love that knife. That was cool. Carried the TRM Shadow. That's the new one, right? With the axis lock type thing, and the Microtech Combat Troodon Bounty Hunter. I love the Combat Troodon, especially. I thought I was buying the Combat Troodon, and I just got the Troodon. It turns out it is a pretty amazing little 3-inch knife. Hey, Alex, great to have you here, sir. I just noticed you walking in the door. Rocksoft says, today I sharpened up the Spyderco Mantra 2. Nice. And that I always thought the Mantra 2 was cooler than the 1, right? That's the one without the hole, or without the functional hole. So that was in hand all day. The knife reminds me of Spy versus Spy. That's funny. Yeah, I think I see what you mean with that blade shape. It kind of looks like their noses or something. Hey guys, Bug Out and Civivi Shredder. That shredder is such a beautifully shaped blade. Also the Dogma, which is my other Civivi. Love the shapes of those clip point blades with those nice big opening holes. Just Greg says that. Thanks, Bob. I think that's for calling him a gentleman and a scholar. Excuse me. Justin EDC says, carrying my Evo Typhoon and causing jealousy across the land. Honestly, been in my pocket since I got it. And if I'm being honest, it's so good. I've been content on my knife collection and been focusing more on watches. Yeah, you need an intervention, sir. I should say. Maybe I shouldn't say that, because we all need other things. Let me put it that way. We all need other expensive things. John says, sure, Gaurav F3 with the white carbon fiber scales. That sounds kind of cool. That sounds very nice. White River Backpacker and a Spyderco Manix 2 with CTX XHP. I liked those White River knives. Great. I would imagine a great fixed blade EDC. Michael says, it's a solo, I think, but 2018 they started calling it the Swiss Army Knife 1. Okay, Swiss Army 1. What was I going to say? Oh, I was talking about, Justin EDC said he's going down the watch hole. And, sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you do need to take a break from this and see, like, maybe apply some of the lessons learned from collecting fine knives in doing other things. Maybe you get into wine, or maybe you get into collecting art or guitars or whatever it is. I say guitars because I see that Les Paul on screen right now. But who knows, whatever it is, you can take the lessons learned from collecting and buying and trading knives and apply them elsewhere. And, like he said, be content with your collection for a little while, especially if you've gotten that, that spectacular thing that's really, that spectacular knife. In his case, the Evo Typhoon. That's just like, why bother getting other knives right now? I have this one. So you find yourself in that position. I think you should start looking at nice boots and pens and watches and all that. McDonald says carried 2 new ones. Oh, that's nice. That's nice when it happens like that. Z-Wear Shaman. What is that? In natural micarta. And the M4 Mega Manix. Mega Manix. Do tell. What's the mega part? Is that like the Manix XL? I'm assuming. Okay, the first Hinderer model. Okay, I covet that model a bit, because every time I see it, I'm like, man, it's flipperless. It's kind of an awkward, stubby design, but never ever heard a discouraging word about the 0550. I would like to get my hands on one of those. Black Multicam. Thank you very much, sir. Man, that's a suave picture you have in your credits there, or not in your credits, but in your lower third there. I really appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Let me know what you were carrying today, Black Multicam. I'm guessing from your picture you had something something tactical, but something kind of slick too. Who knows? Maybe you had an arch nemesis in pocket. Let me know. That'd be most excellent. Martin says 0550 is Hinderer with a thumb stud. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And no option to flip. None whatsoever. Everyone, please remember to hit that like button every week, Monster. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You'd think I'd learn by now. Jim's like, yeah, you'd think. Dave says, I'll mention that I tried carrying my Topps Viking Norseman around the house, but White threatened to turn me in. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, who among us hasn't been, busted walking around the house with a little bit of overkill dangling from our belts? Okay, Dillip says, hey, Bob, Jim, everyone, carrying the Pilar 3 today. A great choice. I was just thinking today of how cool it would be to have, a pal say like, I don't know, like say, Nick, make a micarta scale for my Pilar 3. I really think that iteration of the Pilar is definitely my favorite, and I would like to see that come out in various materials. Wolf says, carrying an REC Razor's what's REC PM2? River's Edge cutlery. Carrying a River's Edge cutlery paramilitary 2 and custom Pena Mula FF. Is that a slip joint, or is that on his more traditional side, or is that something more tactical? The River's Edge cutlery. Hey, Bob and Jim, says James Moore. James, always a pleasure to see your face here at the Thursday Night Knives gathering. Actually, while we're gathered here, let me do say this. We will be reworking how we do the every month we give away a knife thing. So we're going to be reworking that, and I'll be making a video about exactly how it's going to work. But it looks like we got to change up a few details here and there. But that program will still be carrying forth. Black Multicam Sog Seal XR today. Such a cool knife. Did they ever come out with the Tanto version of that? I know they did with their Tanto version of it in the fixed blade, but I don't know if they ever did with the XR. I love that. It's jimped all the way around, and where it's not jimped, it's sharp, pretty much. I've been buying more watches than knives lately, too. Oh, oof. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. I have a couple of Seikos and a Luminox and a couple of Luminoxes that both of which were generously donated to me by my father. And I'm making myself content with those things. Like I wish I could with, say, 4 or 5 really excellent knives. James says, got my Berger EXK Plus with me today. I would love to see what that looks like. Because I know, I'm not sure if I know that knife, but I have a feeling it is ultra sweet. I've been buying more ammo than anything. Well, that's probably a good plan. Everything has its season, sir. Monster says, I got your 6, Bob and Jim. Thank you. Appreciate it. Always looking out for that smash button. Hey, Professor. Good to have you here. Jim, Bob, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Sorry for being late. If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have known. So, forgiveness over permission, right? Yeah. D-Truth. I carry overkill below my belt every day. Hey, I like it. Justin EDC. I mean, someone had to say it. I'm glad you did, sir. Justin EDC says, I have my Micarta scale on my regular Pilar. My Micarta on Pilar 3 would be fire okay. And I agree, man. I think it would complete the feel, because that knife in a full grip when you're up on that 50-50 choil, woo, it's very nice. A front flipper, Bob. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. See, that at least gets me in the neighborhood. I look at a lot of knives, but I don't remember names very well. Hero Sticks. Hey, how's it going? Good to have you here, sir. Spirited Wit, Ryan. Hello, friends. Happy Thursday Night Knives. It's been cool watching your knife evolve. Your knives. You've been posting some cool pictures on Instagram, Ryan. Digging watching that happen. Speaking of watching, I've been watching True Detective, the HBO series, and I'm a late adopter to everything. So this was a series that was out, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. John says I pared down my watch collection to 4 Rolex watches. Very nice. I hear that's a fine outfit for timepieces. Slicey says, well, 4 Rolexes will do it. Yeah, right. Yeah, just have them going up one arm. Hey, Nick, how's it going? I was subtly suggesting you make me a Pilar 3, whatchamacallit before, scale. What's the Civivi Asticus up for? Here, I'll show you. Oh, all right. So anyway, I've been watching True Detective, and it's a really good series, especially the first season. I'm in the second season, and I'm enjoying it, but the first season was really tremendously good, I thought. Anyway, second season, the yummy Rachel Adams, I think she's quite fetching. In this, she's dirtied up a little bit, but she is a knife person in this. She's she plays a sheriff's deputy, I think, and her character loves knives and practices with knives frequently, and she gives her philosophy about knives to one of her partners. Hey, why do you always carry a knife? And she's like, because I'm a woman, and the men I come up against are stronger than me, and this gives me. Second season blows. Third season gets a bit better. I don't think the second season blows. I think it's just a shockingly different show from the first season. I'm going to put it that way. But I do like the fact that Rachel McAdams is really, a knife person. So I've seen that double ring karambit from Cold Steel. She has that in her boot. They all carry. I look at the clips in their pockets, and they all carry very accurately, I would say. What do you call it? Benchmades. But then, one of them, I think someone just put it up there. There's a CQC7 that's used to pry into a window. There's a mini Culloden. Was it called that? But the Culloden, which Emerson, it was the CQC7 chisel ground. What is that? The A, I guess, with the wave. Hey, Steele. Good to have you here. Steele Ovan is here. But great. That hat is a great look on you, Bob. Oh, yeah. It's funny. Everyone at work's like, hey, nice hat. Like, kind of like, why are you wearing your hat every day? And it's because I gave myself the worst COVID haircut. For a good year there, I was giving myself some really, really good haircuts. But this last time, I took it a little short. And so, the hat's been on quite a bit. Thanks, Alex. So True Detective, good show for knives. The mini Culloden, do you know what I'm talking about? Or maybe it wasn't called that, but it's a Sigian Du. How do you pronounce that? It's Cold Steel's modern tactical version of the sock knife that Scottish people wear. Actually, still awake to catch the show. Oh, good to have you here, Running Ralph. That's funny. Yeah, it's funny because you just forget that not everyone's in the Eastern time zone. I feel like this is a future show all by itself. Blades in TV shows and movies. It is indeed. As a matter of fact, I've been on myself about cataloging and doing not just knives in movies and TV shows, but I'm particularly fond of scenes where knives save the day. Usually, Skian do. Thank you. Skian do. All right. I was like, Sigian dub. I don't know. Thank you. It's usually a folding knife, but I love scenes like that. Little folding knife saves the day. Cult knife movie of them all was Exposure. Yes. Oh my God. I just watched the scenes from that movie, especially the scenes where Peter Coyote is choosing his knives, and there's like 3 Randall made knives and a couple of other customs and like a Gerber Mark II, and and he's being taught by this French guy how to knife fight. It's really cool. I'm into movie watches. Oh yeah, well, the Arnie, right? And the James Bond Omega. Don't you have that James Bond Omega? Durdoy says Rachel Adams is a cool curved shun paring knife at the party. That's the one I watched last night. She's going undercover to this party where rich men, buy women, buy dates, if you will, and she's undercover, but they gave her a spray of MDMA, I think, and she's tripping out, and but as she walks by this salmon, this layout of food on the table, she grabs this shun fruit knife and carries it with her, and she kills a guy later in that scene. Pretty excellent. What industry do you work in? I work in the television industry. Join the conversation. Yes, please do. Just go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/join. Set up your camera, your phone horizontally, so you get a nice horizontal picture like this, and come on and join, and let's chat. And if you do this a little later, you might get in a knife fight. It might be a katana versus a broadsword. So I am very much looking forward to the next season of True Detective and more knife scenes. And it's I applaud the widespread use of Benchmade, because many law enforcement officers that I've met, it's Benchmade for them. I'll try to pick up a Pilar 3 and try my hand at making a scale for it. Their tolerances pretty bad. Usually it can be a pain in the butt. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. If I can pull it off, it can be yours. Well, I would just send you mine and you could experiment with it so you don't have to buy it. But also I'm curious for scale makers about how much more difficult it is when you're dealing with bearings as opposed to washers. Chicago 23, nice to have you here. Just ordered a Natrix XL copper. Cool. I love the patina the patina of copper. I love that. And what's the other one? The other one. I like how that patinas too. Hero Stick says, I'd love to know what people's favorite knife scenes in movies are. Yeah. Oh, well, who doesn't love Billy on the log in Predator, and he takes out that giant double-edged machete and carves his chest, and great scene. I just watched Judas and the Black Messiah, and all they carried were huge oversized switchblades for the most part. I love it. Are you talking about the sort of Italian stiletto style switchblades? Love those. I think that's what everyone had back in the day. Getting the large felspar fully modded. What are you having done to it? Don't tease us, Michael. Take us down the path. Gert, good to have you here. The Snowwalker 2003 is a really good film about a pilot and passenger that have to survive in the Arctic tundra after a plane crash. The main character has a buck 110 that he uses for survival tasks. I love that. A buck 110. He's like, and it shatters because he's out in the freezing cold. True Detective is a good series. Agreed. I got to say the first season gave me I already had a hearty respect for both actors, but gave me a huge bump in respect to Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. They were both outstanding. Is the Pilar on bearings? I really thought it was. I'm sorry, I don't have it right here with me, but I'm pretty sure it is. If anyone else can corroborate, what about that Benico and Tommy Lee knife? Yeah, Benicio and Joaquin. What about that Benicio and Tommy? Yeah, that was pretty good. The Hunted. The only thing is that they used the Tom Brown tracker, and I don't know. I bet it's a great outdoors knife. But for the movie, I don't know. It doesn't look like a knife fighting knife to me. And I know it's a survival knife and other things, but like the Rambo knife is a survival knife and looks way cooler in a fighting scene. One thing I thought was just outrageous. Like I just could not suspend my disbelief in The Hunted is at some point he throws one of them. I think it's Benicio throws the, I agree. Chicago. He throws the Tom Brown tracker at Tommy Lee Jones, who just kind of gets out of the way, and it buries itself through a tree. There's like a tree this big, and it goes through, and they pull the knife out, and you can see through the tree. It's as if he shot it with a blunderbuss at this thing. No brand name, but a knife has a plot point. And helps the characters in The Edge with okay. Is that the one with Alec Baldwin also, and there's a bear involved, maybe? Or is that something else? Yeah, I love that. You know, the knife or that scene in Falling Down where the Nazi is beating him in the back of his Army Navy surplus store. He happens to have a butterfly knife. Butterfly knife, takes it out, you know, sticks the guy, I think, in the thigh and escapes. Great scene. Black Multicam says the Microtech Cold Steel Emersons of the John Wick series. Okay, obviously I know the Microtechs. Cold Steels and Emersons. Tell me where. Okay, if it's in 3, I don't want to know because there were so many knives in 3 during that knife fighting scene. I was watching it with my wife, and and it would have made her bristle, but I wanted to stop and examine the screen, and I never got to do that. So, but I'm curious what Cold Steels and what Emersons you've seen in those movies. In Chinatown, my all-time favorite movie. Roman Polanski cuts Jake's nose with a trick folding knife. It's so great. It's he takes out it's a swing guard switchblade. You know what happens to nosy fellas? They lose their nose, and he flicks it. That's why half the movie he's got the bandage on his nose, and he says, "Next time I cut it off and feed it to my goldfish." Yep, with the bear. Okay, thank you. Sometimes it takes me a second to circle back. Which lovely lady says circle back all the time? Hollywood Tactical says yes. Glenn Close, I think the knife was the key to the movie. Okay. Professor EDC, not a movie, but Alone season 1. Kukri in use. Ooh, nice. Yes, Kukri's lots of Kukri action in the Mila Jovovich movies. I can't remember the ones with the zombies. Hero Stick says Kiefer Sutherland with the classic switchblade and Stand By Me. You're dead, kid. Or what about Timothy? What's his name? Let's do this for Johnny. We'll do this for Johnny in The Outsiders. What's his name? You know. Just Greg says, my favorite movie knife isn't a movie, but the Spyderco Police in the Sabotage music video. Oh, sweet. I didn't know there was I don't remember that. Movie called Drive. Oh, yeah, that was yes. And the gangster is played by a very affable, curly-haired actor who's always a good guy. And what is it? That guy's name? Someone help me. And he's got a little collection of super high-end knives. Yeah, in a case. And in the end, he kills. Well, I shouldn't give anything away. But anyway, he dispatches someone in the movie at some point in a really creepy way with a knife. You know, he just. So check out The Driver. It's a good movie. Gert says, "Oh, just remembered The Revenant." Oh, yes, definitely. Which has some excellent period props and some custom knives that were made for the film. There's some forum threads where you can find the maker of one talk about it. Yeah, the Hudson Bay style knife you see a lot in that movie, just like these giant blades. And there are no guards because the blade is so thick that, or so wide that the handle just sort of terminates right at the blade tang, like a kitchen knife kind of. Gangs in New York. Excellent. Many Taxi Driver, another excellent. He takes his what is it? He takes his the knife that double-edged knife that the Marine Corps used besides the K-bar, tapes it to his boot, sticks it through the guy's hand. Cold steel axe was used by Grimes on Walking Dead. Yes, that's right. The Axe Gang axe, that really squared off looking one, right? I think I heard there's a Sebenza featured in one of the John Wick flicks, but don't quote me on it. That's funny, man. We all have an eye for it. I mean, anytime I see someone with a knife in their pocket, the clip, I can identify it. or not. And if I can't identify that, that means it's probably not worth identifying. Friday the 13th, Jason Lives, best of this series, says Benjamin. I bet there's a machete in that somewhere. Wasn't there a Gil Hibben? Okay, yes. Well, I don't know if Gil Hibben designed the Cobra knife. That thing, it was like a curved D-shaped handle, split with a knuckle duster and spikes in this crazy curved blade that the villain had in that movie. But Gil Hibben, a lot of movie knives for Gil Hibben. One use of a Gil Hibben knife that I was particularly fond of was in Natural Born Killers. Woody Harrelson walks around with that big recurve Bowie through a big part of the blade, and at one point, or the movie, and at one point he throws it, and you kind of follow behind the knife as it chunk and then sinks itself into someone's back. If you haven't seen that movie, it's awesome. I mean, Oliver Stone is pretty much the only experimental filmmaker out there in Hollywood, is what I mean by that. The Book of Eli had some gnarly machete action. Yeah, great scenes in that movie with that cool ventilated machete he carried. Ice Cube with his Spyderco Endura Angelica in Anaconda. Endura Angelica. Okay. There's a scene in a movie that takes place in the near future, and it's with this happens to me. It's terrible when I'm under the gun, but it's with Will Smith, and he plays a detective in the near future, and his partner is an alien. Okay. And there's a scene where he pulls out a Spyderco Police, and I'm like, okay, the prop department really was kind of being lazy about this because it's taking place in the future. Okay. And they pick like the first one-handed tactical knife basically that ever came out for this future cop to be carrying. And I think that the prop master who was in charge said, it's just a pocket knife. I'll put the new kid on it. And the new kid's like, I don't know, what do police carry? And he looked it up and he found Spyderco Police model. And he's like, we'll get that one. And so Will Smith, when he opens it, he's like that. I'll use Jock's knife here. When he opens it, he's like this. Like it's magic. Look at that. All you do is grab the hole and open it up. And I'm like, oh, baby. I'm watching this with my wife. This was something she wanted to watch. And I'm like, kind of skip it all the way through. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's better than lots of other things I could be doing right now. But this movie's kind of all right. But then when I saw Will Smith, who I think is a cool guy, doing this, I was like, oh, come on, man. Oh, come on, man. So I got to say something else from now on. Benjamin says, I have the Cobra knife. Oh, sweet. I got it at a flea market. Big curved blade, spikes along the handle like brass knuckles. That is awesome. In the room over here, I have the Rambo 3 knife hanging discreetly on a shelf. This is in the basement. So just in case anyone ever backs me into the laundry room, I can do them with the old Rambo 3 Bowie. I thought it was cool when they made that shift between Rambo 2 and 3 from the big saw teeth to a larger Bowie without the saw teeth. And and also different designer. Black Multicam says, John Wick and the Cold Steel Counterattack boot knife and Safe Maker push dagger. Okay. Emerson Karambit in the sommelier scene. Not as memorable as the Microtech, but still played a role. So when he says dessert and he opens up the thing, I think that's probably where you're saying. Matt Dillon. Thank you. The Outsiders. Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze. Book was awesome. Yeah. I read it in 6th grade too. That and Rumblefish and but Matt Dillon's the guy who flips the Bally song. Big Trouble in Little China. One of my wife's favorite movies. What does he have in that? He's got a Gerber Mark II in that. Or no. It wasn't a Mark II. Mark II's the long one. I think he's got a Gerber boot knife in that with the leather sheath. James says Snatch. Snatch was a great movie. Boris the Blade, aka Boris the Bullet Dodger, uses a pretty nasty cleaver he pulls out from under his jacket. I love that guy. I think he's cool. What I mean by that is the director, whose name escapes me because I'm trying to think of it right now. The Long Rider's knife scene is terrific. I can't think of that. Is that the one where they're tied together in a bar and have to fight with bowies? Cobra was a classic. Commando and Arnold's knife. Okay, I agree with you. His main knife in Commando was awesome, and not for nothing. The bad guy in Commando, the Australian guy with the knuckle duster knife, that was also cool. That knife fight scene was great, except it ended with Arnold Schwarzenegger throwing a giant pipe through a man who's wearing chainmail and appears to be quite muscular. He throws that pipe through a man wearing chainmail, and it goes all the way through him and the metal wall of the boiler behind him and sticks all the way through enough to release. I mean, that is one strong Commando. But that let off some steam, Bennett. At that point, the movie's over. So it can be excused. Chicago PD uses Spyderco knives quite often. I think that's pretty realistic, though they might be more realistic with the old Benchmades. But actually, I don't know how they do it in Chicago. John Wick doesn't need a knife. All he needs is a pencil. Goddamn pencil. I love how Microtech sells the two out the fronts in a case, and they have a black Ticonderoga pencil in there too. Blade, Wesley Snipes, anybody? Not much. Not too much for me. That's a sword movie, and for sword movies, I don't like the straight sword, I gotta say. But that's just personal taste. Rambo First Blood. I mean, yes, of course, Rambo First Blood. Everything about that knife was cool, and then how he used it. And then the scene in the police station where the guy holds up the paper and he's like, as if like, oh, it's not so bad that you're carrying a 9-inch Bowie knife, but it's sharp too. It's like, geez. Robert Mitchum gets a lot of use from his knives in The Night of the Hunter. I gotta say, oh! I've never seen that, but I've heard great things about that. Okay, slightly off topic, but I've been watching lots of Mythbusters episodes recently, and there's a lot of great real-world use of multi-tools and folding knives in that. Good advert for their utility. That's interesting. I remember once seeing a video with the red-haired guy, and someone asked him what his EDC was, and he did not carry a knife, which I thought was crazy. Crazy. Zach, thank you. $4.99. Zach, I appreciate that. Zach stuff. Check out Zach. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I wasn't even intending to really talk much about movie knives, but man, who doesn't like? And the Punisher movie against Harry Heck. I don't remember that scene in particular, but I do like the big knife, Punisher knife that Topps made for one of the Punisher movies. Oh, I think you're probably talking about the series that's happening. I was thinking of a couple of cheesy movies that came out several years back. Hello, Dan Mitchell. Excuse me. Dan, good to have you here. From Dusk Till Dawn, out the front obsidian blade, futuristic. I like the idea of that. There was a show on Sci-Fi Channel that lasted a couple of seasons. It took place in St. Louis after the apocalypse, and then there are aliens there. And a lot of people walk around with knives, especially of this one alien culture. And they're really cool. They're knives, but they're plasma blades that, they're kind of like little lightsabers, sort of. Hollywood Tactical says Night of the Hunter, directed by Charles Lawton, the actor. Pretty dark, right? Am I thinking of the right movie? I mean, an older flick, obviously, but quite dark. Funny to hear the stories about what knife movie productions ask for. Yeah. You know what? I guess here's the thing. I guess you have a movie, you're making a movie, costs a lot of money. There are so many people who work on these damn things. I mean, just look at the credits. And you're in the art department, and you're in charge of props. Are you going to find, you got a lot of stuff that you have to get everything that's on screen in the movie is there deliberately. So, I mean, you got to get a lot of stuff. You're not going to be doing too much research on knives. However, I do think that if it's featured, it should be well researched. Gentlemen, how are we? Who do we have here? We got Bill and Benny. Bill S., how's it going, sir? It's nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Funny. I just so happen to be carrying a Super CQC7 on, or 15 on me. Even though my if you were here during the pocket check, I was carrying this all day. I take them out for pocket check, and something's got to go in. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, Benny, how are you, sir?
Doing great, Bob. How are you?
Not bad at all. Just enjoying Thursday night and just kind of going off. I was going to be talking a lot tonight. The topic of discussion was going to be the collecting affliction, but really it's shifted to movie and TV knives because I was talking about True Detective earlier. Either you guys have a favorite movie knife or scene. No one mentions Psycho yet. I know that is Psycho. That's crazy. Either you guys have a favorite knife scene.
First Blood, when Rambo gets arrested and they take the knife out of his back pocket or his back of his pants. And what do you need this for? Hunting bear or boar?
Yeah, we were just talking about that scene. And the guy cuts the paper and looks at him like, this is just too sharp for Washington State or whatever. What about you, Benny?
So this story makes me sound like a total nerd, but Rambo 3, right? The knife you have.
Oh, yeah.
I also have it, the Gil Hibben like replica knife or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had that on like VHS that I taped off TV, and I would like fast forward to the part where he's going to infiltrate, and he shoves his knife in the sand. He's looking for landmines, and he bear crawls through under the barbed wire, and he chucks it at someone.
Yeah. And
I just thought I would go get mine and watch the scene. Such a dork, but
just sit there with it.
It's like, man, I want to be Rambo.
Yeah, man, get paid to walk around with that knife on my hip. Hell yeah.
Good time.
A couple of comments back. Someone mentioned something. Well, Hollywood Tactical mentioned Dune, but I never read Dune. But before that, there was another one. Damn it, what was it? Right before this one, I think, Jim. Not The Untouchables, but yeah, great movie. One more before that. What about Knives Out? Okay, yes, Knives Out, great movie. But I was thinking about Knives Out just the other day while I was doing the dishes. Guys, have you seen that movie?
No, I've seen a lot of movies, but what is Knives Out?
Knives Out is a movie that came out maybe 2 years ago now. And it got some, came out to some critical acclaim. It was one of these ensemble pieces with a lot of different famous actors in it. And it was a whodunit. And it was very well done. And it takes place in the house and in the family of a sort of rapacious family of a famous child author, kids author, and the mystery surrounding his death. And he leaves all these clues, and it's kind of a lighthearted mystery thing. But he is also obsessed with knives, and they're all over his house, knives and swords. And there's the place where the detective interviews everyone is in this room. In the background is this huge 360-degree sort of sunburst array of knives of all different type, as a work of art in this room. And I spent a lot of time during those scenes examining the knives. What is that? What are they? That one's a cheap piece of, you can tell that they put this thing together and I don't know. It was a great movie though. Really good, fun movie to watch. I've seen Knives Out, lots of knives in it. Yes, indeed. And yeah, definitely worth the watch.
All right, I will.
Some great knife scenes in The Expendables. Oh, I love that movie. Mike Attack Halo. So Bill, tell me about what's going on with you. What's your knife obsession lately?
It's it's kind of everything's cold steel right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
I had to go on the XL stint, and so I have one. And to supplement that, it's a mini tack as well.
Ooh, double tanto, double cold steel.
I know. And then I have my Carry, which is my new BGM one-off knife that he kind of designed with me, a take on his pike, and it's, yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to bring this out. I've been ever since you sent me that email showing me that. I've been following him for a while, and I really like the shape of his knives, the profile, especially his Quaken, which is kind of a clip point. Really nice knife, and people should check him out. I'd like to have him on the show because he offers a number of different models in a wide array of steels with 3 different kinds of grinds. I mean, he'll basically do it all, and at a very reasonable price. And I think he's a young man coming up. I'd like to check it out. Hold that knife up to the camera one more time. Let's take a look.
Yeah. So here's the one that he made versus his stock pike.
Oh,
that's
nice.
the one that he just, yeah. So I kind of wanted a reversed. I wanted this, but upside down, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what he did, and it ended up being a Warncliffe.
It's beautiful.
So, thank you.
Yeah. What about you, Benny? What were you carrying today? What are your knife obsessions today?
So got GEC on the mind here recently. I carried that 93 Ram's Foot.
Yeah.
There's another pattern I was trying out. It's the 86. It's a 2-blade. They call it a jumbo jack. It's big and heavy, and I wanted to like it, but I just wasn't feeling the bond, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was eyeing that 93, and someone put one up for sale. I jumped on it, just trying to find a new user to bring into my life.
Yeah.
And I love this one, man. It's got a real stout pull, and I like, that, slip joint guys do the scale of 1 to 10 on the pull.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a good 8. Fits good in the hand. That, like you were talking, that Ram's Foot blade is tall and thin, and it just slices. So felt an immediate tingle when I got my hands on that one.
Well, let's see it. Do you have it?
I don't have it in front of me, but I can go grab it in a minute.
Yeah, grab it.
I did bring some other customs to show you, though. Ones we didn't get to last time. If you wanted to see something kind of cool.
Yeah, I would love to see something kind of cool. Hey, Jim, put back that last comment from James. How about the knife fight in Under Siege between Steven Seagal and Tommy Lee Jones? Completely realistic, right? Yeah, I love that. He's all.
That's a great one.
He does his.
He finishes him off like right through the top of his head.
Yeah.
Smashes his head into the radar thing.
Yeah.
For the win.
For the win. I hate radar and I hate your head. Professor EDC says, love the fighting scene from the Last of the Mohicans. Yes. And the Patriot. Yes. Those are great because it's Tomahawk and Bowie. Let's see. This is a Lanny's clip. Yes.
This is a Lanny's clip. So this guy, his name's, I'm trying to get the light just right, Ricardo Romano, and he's from Brazil. You ever heard of him?
Mm-mm. No, I have not.
This is Westinghouse. My lighting's not very good today. Westinghouse micarta. This dude's work is impeccable. And, he's just got these really, man, I'm sorry about the lighting. I was trying to get it just right before it got on. Of course, I didn't get it. But
yeah, brighter tends to be better. God, that looks beautiful, though. Can you hold it up to your camera and put your hand behind it? I want to see if I can make out the Westinghouse. Yes, that really helps. Look at that. God, that is so beautiful. I mean, everything about that is gorgeous. I do like the threaded bolster. Is that what they call it when they put the groove in the bolster?
Fluted.
Oh, fluted. Right.
Fluted. Yep.
Hollywood Tactical says, have you seen the knife fighting scene in Man from Nowhere, a Korean film? No, I don't think so. Korean film, extremely dark film. Oh yeah, Kill Bill, Hattori Hanzo's sword. Lots of great.
Light up.
Hey, while Benny's going to fix the light, let me show you a little bit of my state of the collection. I got something that I'm excited to show. Hot on the heels of its other brother, I got a Randall made Model 2 7 referring to the length of the blade. Model 2 is the fighting stiletto or dagger, and I'm very, very happy about this knife. This is one that's kind of hard to get, and they're all kind of hard to get. If you order one from the company exactly how you want it, you are expected to wait 5 years. But there are some dealers who sell them, get small batches of them, and doggone it, I was really shocked to find a 7-inch number 2 with that beautiful stacked leather handle, and these knives are just so fine. This one is in carbon steel. The other one, the Special Fighter number 16, is in stainless, and the stainless is, I think, 440B, I believe, B. And it's kind of funny to think of, just because in this day and age, 440B steel, like, what's our concept of that? It should be so lame that it just sort of drips off itself and it just melts, but we forget, like, before we were spoiled with super steels, that steels like this were adequate, more than adequate. It worked for GIs in World War II. So I'm quite certain it will suit me just fine. But yeah, it is a sticking point I could see for some people. For me, buying these two knives, these Randall made knives, have been sort of like historical investments. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Plus, they're forging those, which makes them get more durability and compared to stock removal. So
right, exactly. Hey, Hollywood Tactical, what's going on, man?
Sorry, you wanted me to do the camera sideways, but I think I'm going upside down, right? I'm sorry about that.
Well, yeah, it's not reorienting. That's fine. That's fine. Oh. You know how sometimes you turn it sideways and then...
Yeah, but I wanted to tell you, I was going to tell you, though, since we're on the topic of movies, I mentioned The Man from Nowhere.
Yeah.
I suggest you see it because I could give a criticism, but I don't want to spoil it first. But it's probably some of the most realistic, not realistic, but intricate. How about that?
Okay.
Elaborate, skill-based. There's very few edits. They do, maybe like a dozen moves in a row, which you never do. You do really skilled people do maybe 3 or 4 moves in a row. But
back
you don't
out
do,
and then...
a 2-minute sequence.
Right.
They edit. But in this movie, and the actor trained for a very long time to do those sequences, and they incorporate a lot of sort of like the kind of knife fighting that we like, minus the angles.
Hey, Wallaby.
That would be my only criticism. Usually, you want to go in like a 45-degree angle. That doesn't as you know from TV, it doesn't lend itself to shooting. You have to do linear moves so you can stay in focus. I think they did that part deliberately, keeping
that's interesting.
Angles. But other than that, they do some pretty intricate knife fighting in it, and I think if like you're in for your audience for today, it seemed like a lot of people had a lot of good memories of knives, and we would definitely recommend that. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I will definitely check that out. Man from Nowhere and Exposure is one that everyone should check out. Sometimes one of its foreign titles is High Art or The Highest Art, something like that. Hey, it's good to have you here, Wallaby. Hey, what you got there, Benny?
This is the ram's foot.
Oh, that's the ram's foot. Okay.
Yep, number 93, Cocobolo wood. I promise I'll have better lighting next time we get on the show.
Oh man.
And so this is the ram's foot blade right there. It's shiny. So it's the Northfield trim, they call it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's going to have like a fancier bolster and a polished blade.
And that
That's
cloud
really
shield
good.
is really beautiful. So I was thinking of a different blade. What's this one, Benny? It looks like this. It's kind of an awkward looking shape. Let me draw it for you. It looks kind of like this.
That's the lamb's foot.
Lamb's foot. That's what it is.
And they did it on the same frame, but that was a Charlie Campagna special factory order.
Right.
And he did the lamb's foot blade. Those are highly, highly sought after. Like right now, I got to get one. Now that I've got my hands on one of these, I want the Charlie Campagna lamb's foot. They did it in antique yellow jig bone, which is like your jig bone.
Yeah.
And they did it in ebony. And then there was a white bone in very small numbers from the GEC Rendezvous. Those are holy grail. This is white bone right here.
I like white bone. White bone is kind of coveted among traditional collectors, right?
It is. I would say it's kind of got its special place. And this one has a spear. And it's a sleeve board pattern. They call it a sleeve board.
Because it's thinner at one end? Okay.
Well, yeah, right? Like an old-fashioned sleeve board, like what you would iron a sleeve on, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. My grandmother had one that folded down in the kitchen, an ironing board, and then a sleeve board came down.
Right, exactly. So it's got a big old pen blade on it. So it's pretty handy.
I got to say, that's something, I mean, of the many things I love about GEC, I love their big, long, useful pen blades, and you can get them crazy sharp. Well, this is actually, actually, Jim is putting up a key that is reminding me to say, I had a great conversation with Israel Bacchus of Arcane Designs. What a cool guy. And I love his philosophy and very interesting story. And his knives are cool. He's got 3 designs out there, a 4th one on the way. And I'm in love with his folding dagger, the antimatter. So I'm just now scheming about what, I got to sell a couple knives to justify it. I'm scheming about how I'm going to get that knife. But Israel Bacchus of Arcane Designs coming up Sunday. Definitely check it out on the interview show. And just speaking with Benny and then having Hollywood Tactical here and Bill S. Actually, I said kind of tongue in cheek, the collecting affliction, this far but no further. But that is the concept. And I'm just curious to you guys about if you ever feel that like with this purchase, like this was something that I had to get because it was Benny. It was your version of the lamb's foot. It was an opportunity that presented itself. And so I had to take it and then immediately had not regret about having gotten it, but regret about not being able to stop myself. So, and obviously if it were, I mean, maybe it's not so obvious, but I should say that if it really presented an imposition on my financial situation, I would be responsible not to do it. But at the same time, that's money that could be saved for the kids' education, or something. So what is it about these things? I know I ask this from time to time, and it might seem like a mundane question, but what the hell, why do people like us get so hooked on getting these things?
Who wants to start? We all did it at the same time.
The Knife Junkie. Or am I jumping in? Sorry. Never mind.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hollywood Tactical, you're on.
No, I mean, I love that you call it the Knife Junkie. Yeah, no, I love it that you call it Knife Junkie because I see tremendous parallels, sadly. I've actually addressed this in a couple videos on my miniature channel as well. I have this incredibly embarrassing video that I chose to put up. It was before Christmas, and I went a little bit nuts on on Black Friday and all those things, and I literally had a stack of dozens of unopened boxes, and it took me like 2 months to unbox them all, and it's completely ludicrous. And I thought, okay, finally, it was kind of like you said, finally I'm done, right. I'm not, I've gotten what I need to, and then it doesn't last more than maybe a week before I'm right back on looking for my next one, like just one more. And so the parallels, I think, are absolutely there. I mean, I think you're putting it nicely by saying affliction, because I think what you mean to say is addiction. After all, you call yourself the knife guy. I think it's very apropos, sadly.
Yeah. Actually, when I said affliction, I was thinking of a movie that I don't know, it's probably like 20 years old at this point, but it was with Nick Nolte and the goddamn drunk son of a bitch, and it's like a really dark movie about addiction and stuff.
I remember that movie. I saw it in this theater, yeah.
Good flick. Talking about knife addiction here on the Knife Junkie is like weight loss meeting at a buffet. All right, yeah, you might be, but maybe we have to do this. Maybe this is like a struggle session or something, or a penance. We have to do this every once in a while to castigate ourselves. Chad says, are we talking about knife addiction? Oh, heck, I am bad. He says, bad. I think, it has definitely, for me, anytime my wife spends money, I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad she's spending money on herself,
Yeah.
Bill, what do you think? What's your opinion on the knife collecting thing?
Well, I've owned the Model 1 that you have right now, and I've flipped it. I don't use this. I'm not going to use it. I could carry it, but this is my daily use knife right there.
Right.
But I think it's a matter of, you have to get it in hand. I could watch 1,000 videos, but until I feel it, hold it, that's satisfying. Mm-hmm. And that's why I got it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like okay, so they say, they meaning like psychologists, say that men are more interested in things and women are more interested in people. So maybe it's like we are like people who collect friends, but to us our friends are metal. No, I'm just kidding. It's terrible. Benny, what do you think?
It's fascinating. It is the psychology of addiction. We got to recognize that. I think impulsively we like the satisfaction of the hunt, the satisfaction of the takedown. And then once you get it, you don't really feel as good about it, because you knew in your heart you didn't need it, but you really wanted it. And I think what's good is that, like, we're not alone. Sometimes you feel guilty, right? And like you're just this bad person. But like, look at us. There's a community right now of like 60 of us all nodding our heads like, yep, that's how I am. So I don't think, I don't think it's bad, but like you said, you got to recognize if it's going to impact your financial situation in a really negative way. And, maybe we help each other out as a community. We say, you really need to buy that one. You got 10 of those, to your buddy, instead of encouraging every purchase.
Yeah. Well, your buddy's going to be like, leave me alone. I need it in crew wear or whatever it is. Yeah, right. It's funny, the different little things too that you latch onto, NAF Sergeant. Yeah, my channel is now my excuse. That's what shredders were there. We only buy new knives. It's for the channel, It's so that I can show everyone else. I'm doing a public service is what I'm all about. There should be a chat line when we feel like purchasing. Yeah. Are you sure you need another PM2? Well, yeah, there's a hole in my collection. Yeah.
I don't have that yet.
What's that?
I don't have that urge yet.
No, okay. John Evans says, #guilty. Something about browsing, struggling with pulling the trigger, ordering, tracking, unboxing, releasing copious amounts of dopamine. Boy, man, that is absolutely true. And I've thought about it 100 times. 100. Well, yeah, it is. It's like a little fix. And someone else had a comment up shortly ago saying, if I don't have a knife somewhere in the mail system, it's like panic sets in, you know, it's like, oh wait, what's coming in? And yeah, you know, there are times where I have, you know, something coming in.
So Bob,
every day.
There's another level to this, if I could throw it in.
Please. You're breaking up, sir, or I'm not hearing you at all.
I'm just going to jump in, Bob, if that's okay. Yeah, no. Addictions can come in any. Okay, are you getting me?
Yeah. Hang on one sec.
Yeah, we can form addictions around nearly anything. We know, you know, people get addicted to food, shopping in general, and there is that component where we get addicted to the shopping aspect, but a big part of it that we justify it to ourselves is also so it's not collecting stamps, right? You use that stamp, whereas literally every single knife purchase can justify, well, this one has this blade shape, this one has this handle scale,
yes
this one's good for this outfit,
and I'm responsible.
We have such an elaborate way of justifying it that lots of other.
You're breaking up. We're having a hard time hearing you, but I think we're all
lots of other kind of afflictions, as you will, we don't really.
Yeah.
Bob, they're making a funny comment on the bottom, how like, don't ever count them. How funny is it when someone says to you, how many knives do you have? It's like, A, I don't know.
Yeah.
B, I won't tell you if I did know.
Yeah, C, mind your business. You know?
Right. You don't ask someone that.
Slicey was saying that worse, add up the dollar amount. Don't do that. That's bad. Mm-hmm. I think math, I was just talking with someone at work about this. Like math can really be your enemy sometimes. And this is one of those cases, counting your knives, adding up how much money you've spent on knives. It's like doing the thing, you know, where you count the hours in the week that you do things you don't want to do, whether it's argue with your wife or too much drinking or this or that. You do the math and you figure it out, and then you turn it into years, and you're like, what? I'm going to spend, if at this rate, I'm going to spend like 4 years, you know, yelling at my kids, like 4 years. So yeah, math can be your worst enemy if you're trying to justify your existence. Chris says, I buy my knives for the hunt and then find a use for most of them. Yeah. So does that use ever include representing the Warncliffes and representing the micartas and representing the, because I get into like sub collecting. Like right now, my fascination is daggers, the symmetry. Like that's why I want to get this Arcane Design antimatter flipping dagger, one of 3 flipping daggers ever, and by that I mean production double-edged daggers. You know, you have the Hinderer Maximus, so what's called the Maximus, and then you have the Sharp by Design Arch Nemesis, and then you have this antimatter. That is cool, and I think I need more daggers in my life, you know, to kind of round things out. Blade Ogre says, my mother-in-law constantly asks me how many knives. Never told her yet. In fact, never count them. That's funny. That's funny because mother-in-laws are funny. And, you know, when I was growing up, mother-in-law jokes were legion, and, you know, how they interfere and that kind of thing. But having a mother-in-law, you know, and Chris, I'm sure your mother-in-law is great, but I mean a mother-in-law in the classic stereotypical sense, asking you about your knives. That's like, I don't know. That's, you know, yeah. Don't go there.
No, we're not having that conversation.
Yeah, you don't need to know that. Why even ask me that? The intermittent gentleman says there's time enough for counting when the dealing's done. That's right. How many you end up with when you croak, I think, is the idea. And hopefully by then you've given them away, and or sold them or parsed them out amongst your progeny, and they will hold those knives and remember you fondly for the rest of their lives and pass it down. That's what we all like to imagine.
Sorry. I think there's some fun in building a collection like you're talking about, a sub collection, like you said, daggers, or with me collecting the GEC number 15s, it's like a project. You work on it like it's your job that you have a ton of passion for. And it's not easy to acquire some of these pieces. So you have to put in an effort, and there is fruit of the labor. When it's all said and done, you get that great picture, you get friendships from it, relationships that you get in the process. So it's part of the bond we all have too, is some of that collection building. At least it's what it's done for me.
Yeah. And right here, Beyond the Beard says, I think it's about camaraderie as well. There's something about the shared experience, even from afar. And actually, like that's the thing, is right now there is a community, a knife community, because of this far-reaching technology. I'm sure there was always a knife community, but I mean, not like this. And there's no one in my personal life, well, that's not completely true, but there are no knife junkies like me in my life around me. So that's why I'm grateful to know all you guys. Just Greg says, let's be honest, half of our collections will end up at a pawn shop or something when we kick the bucket. I've already given my girls the speech. I'm like, you call Mr. Alex, you call Alex of Alex's Knife Box. He knows how much these will cost. And I don't want you getting taken advantage by... But like, why are we talking about you dying and leaving your knife collection? Like, let's talk about your will. Let's talk about the real stuff. Slicey says, my mother-in-law actually watches my videos sometimes. That's cool. But was pretty mad when I got my father-in-law a knife for Christmas. That's awesome. You're a bad influence, Brian. Bad influence. He's going to go out and do some delinquency stuff. Hawaii Knife and Gear. Hey, guys. Great to have you here all the way from Hawaii. That's cool.
Another thing, Bob, I don't know if my connection is still bad.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, my connection. So, no, I was just going to chime in really quick that knives also have an extreme.
Oh man,
just to men.
We just have a terrible connection.
To men, things like fire and knives.
All right, sorry, man. Justin EDC says, I want a knife in every pocket when they put me in the box. That's funny. And
put that in your will.
Yeah, Slicey has said he has his knives in his will, and that's pretty cool. Just joined in great discussion. I've written detailed instructions to my wife, etc., in case I can't be the one to take them and not end up in a garage sale. I know, that's funny. My dad has what he calls the Doomsday Book, and it, catalogs everything we need to know when he dies. And I just think it's funny. You have your own Doomsday Book of knives.
And Bob, the Model 18 has that spear point looking daggery blade like the Model 2 that you have.
Yeah.
So you might need to get a Model 18.
18. And I'd like to get the letter opener, which is the 5-inch version of this. Thanks, Jim. The 5-inch version of this. I mean, man, these Randall knives. Yeah.
What do those cost, Bob?
Excuse me?
We're amongst like-minded individuals.
This is being recorded for posterity and watched by some people close to me. So I'll refrain from answering that. But they were the standard. No, it's okay. They were the standard, Randall price, about the cost of a Sebenza.
Okay, you get a lot of value there then.
I think some people find issue with spending more money on on spending a lot of money on a fixed blade because there's no like the engineering is different. It's less complicated, and you want to think that when you're paying top dollar for something like this, that that you're paying for some of the engineering and the machining and stuff. And you like to assume that when you're getting a fixed blade that doesn't have the mechanical aspect, that it should be cheaper just because. But handmade knives are, I don't know, they're a different breed, and I'm slowly kind of acquiring more and more of them. These are made in a small facility in Orlando, but they're all handmade, and I don't know. They just have me they have me captivated, and part of it is the history aspect of it. You know, that they've been carried and coveted by military guys since since World War II, and I don't know, all of that. I just love it. That guys used to write to Knife Man in Orlando. That's what they would put on the envelope and send it from the theater of war they were in, and hopefully he got them a knife. Is there any knife that, if you got it, would end the searching and collecting?
No.
Guys?
No. No.
I want a custom CQC6.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That might do it. I could, or what I should say is, I could see that doing it for someone. For me, I think the answer is also no, and that's not because I necessarily feel like I have a bottomless appetite, but I do have a roving eye, and I love, I like to surround myself with beauty, and to me, these things represent that in a great way. Something about the utilitarian nature of them, the design of them, the fact that I've since early childhood equated them with self-reliance, and like, that's what it is to be a man. You have a knife on your hip, or, so to me, yeah. John says, glad I'm happily divorced. One of my past fears was I would die and she would sell them for what I told her they cost. Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, oh man, that's funny. That's funny. It's like, erase my hard drive. What's that?
I was going to say, so those are handmade knives, right? The Randall, and he said they're forged. So to circle back to what you were saying, to say that those might not be worth as much as a folder, I think sort of cheapens what it takes to build a handmade fixed blade. I have a friend who is a bladesmith. He forges and he fits guards, and that stuff is so precise. Like, you could put hours into a knife. You could have your knife be forged crooked. It could crack when you're heat treating it or quenching it. You could sand that guard a little bit off and it'll just fall right down the handle. Like, there's pitfalls throughout that entire process. Yeah. And, when you tell me that's a $400 to $600 knife range, then I think that's a tremendous value for the quality. That stack leather handle alone looks like it was done by a machine. It's perfection.
Yeah, it is. Chad says, I have two Randalls from Nam, a Model 14, which is called the Attack and has a handle very similar to this, but a slightly, a broader blade, and it doesn't have this dip. That's a beautiful, but this one kind of takes care of my number 14 Attack Lust. And then a number 2, both from Vietnam era. That to me is that's another place I'd love to take my collection, is to like the knives and swords I have on the wall behind me, which were all kind of bringbacks from GIs and such. I want to get some used combat knives. I'm sorry, Jim, can you go back to that last comment? I was about to every single knife I buy is the last knife. Exactly. That's talk about that. That's a I'm gonna quit on Monday type junkie right there. Justin EDC says, only a knife junkie could understand that language. How much is that? The price of a Sabenza. Yeah, it's code. Yeah. I'm sure my wife's not going to watch this, but better safe than sorry. NAF Sergeant says, honestly, as long as it doesn't affect our everyday life, my wife doesn't care how much I spend. That's basically what it comes down to here too. I could see, not that I want to advertise what I spend, and there's some trading, not much actually. That's kind of tapered off. But anyway, that's my story. Hey, Hollywood Tactical, good to have you in. What were you saying, Benny?
Here's a thought-provoking comment. Do you guys have a hard time letting go sometimes? Like, I like to bring them in, and I do not like to let them go. I have to really like battle through that with myself. Yeah. I've gone so far as to take pictures of something and been like, nope, not happening, you know? And I just wonder if you guys have a hard time letting them go.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Bill doesn't. Bill,
no.
I need some of that discipline.
It got to the point about 10 years ago when I was new to the YouTube watching, and I looked in my closet and there were like 12 boxes. And I'm like, what the heck am I doing? So I have a rule for myself. It's collect 3, carry 1. And I've been living by that. So, and when I want something else and I've got 3 in a collection, one of them goes. So case in point with Bob.
Yeah. You didn't want me to mention this at one point, but I already alluded to it. Bill sent me, you remember months back when I told you about how I was sent this Super CQC 15, which is a knife I've always wanted ever since I had a CQC regular 15. It was like, even for my, regular size hands, I felt like it was a little tight, but this is, man, so beautiful. Thanks again. I appreciate it. I carry it all. I carry it quite a bit. And one thing I find in this knife is that the blade is so broad that this, is enough. And then that chisel, I mean, it is so screaming sharp. This knife is crazily sharp. Bob, collect 300, carry 1. Yeah, right. Exactly. So that concept of collect 3, carry 1 is a concept that is scalable, obviously, to any size collection, but it's something that I've been, for me, I think ideally it would be collect 25 to 30, carry 1, but
collect 25 Warncliffs and then 25,
and 30 Bowies and several hundred. Yeah, right. Exactly. I don't know where all this collecting goes, but I used to think that collectors were weird. And then I realized that I'm one,
I think we are weird. I think it's safe to say we're kind of weird, but that's good, man. Like, normal people are boring, like I find people who have eccentric hobbies or interesting collections, they're interesting.
Yeah. That is true. So we did a show, I don't know, a couple months back where we talked about if you weren't collecting knives, what would you get? And one thing we talked a lot about were pens. I love pens. And I don't remember who it was, but someone recommended this pen, the TWSBI Echo, I think it is. And I got it, and it's great. I love it. And it's my only modern fountain pen besides a Mont Blanc that was gifted to me that is that you don't stick a cartridge in, that you fill. And I love that. It's a great pen. Thanks for whoever suggested this to me. Can't remember. It's only $30 if you like writing with a fountain pen. And you don't have to write script with a fountain pen. My main mode of penmanship or whatever lettering is like that sort of architectural block lettering that my grandfather taught me. And it looks cool with a fountain pen. You get these little tiny puddles of ink at the end of your lines. And yeah, so hopefully I don't go whole hog on pens next, because I'm going to have to do a lot more writing.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, we're coming up against the end of the show, but I want to do a knife fight this week that, it's the Japanese Katana versus the European Broadsword. Now, I don't have any particular European broadsword in mind, but what I was thinking of was sort of that prototypical sort of crusader sword with the big cross, with the big quillions and the broad double-edged blade. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like crusader sword sort of thing.
Straight blade.
Straight blade,
At the tip like this,
two edges,
right
big,
down the middle.
big quillions. They used to put them upside down on the ground like a cross and pray on them.
Like what Conan was swinging around, sort of.
So, well, that's a little bit more than what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking more of like, let's say,
like what Arthur shoves through the stone.
or kind of Braveheart sort of thing. Maybe minus the giant size, but just like your typical European knight sword. But I think it would be interesting to see. I think they both have their benefits, so I'm interested. Are either of you guys interested in taking a side on this and doing it? If not, I'm happy to jump in and I'll debate either one of you with either sword. I don't care.
Go for it, both you guys. I'll watch.
Oh, okay. All right. So Bill is going to defend the katana. And I will let you go first, or if you want me to go first, I'll go first. It's up to you.
Well, I'm never done a debate before, so I'll wing it.
All right. It gets pretty brutal here in the knife fight. What we do is I will defend the European broadsword and talk about why it is a superior knife or superior sword. And I'll have a minute and a half. And then you will also have a minute and a half to rebut and, well, to give your argument. And then whoever is left standing is determined by these gentlemen and the commenters. So I will start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the invitation to this esteemed venue for the debate on the Japanese katana versus the European broadsword. And really, if you ask me, there is no debate. The European broadsword is what conquered and created the Western world. Reliant on a single edge, you're going to find yourself not having what you need to go all the way. The thing about the European broadsword that is most appealing is the fact that it has two edges, and many of them are left dull until the last maybe half of the blade, so that you can actually hold the blade and use the pommel, which is heavily weighted to counteract the length of the blade, and use it as a bludgeon. So it is kind of a medieval multi-tool for the melee, if you will, because you can stab, you can you can thrust through armor, and you can slash with the tip, but you can also turn it around and say if you just have to teach someone a lesson, you don't have to necessarily run them through. You can use it as a club, or say you dull out, you can use it as a club. So clearly the European broadsword, with its very broad guard, its heavy pommel, and two-handed handle and double-edged blade, is superior. Sorry, that was about 5 seconds long.
Excuse me.
Okay.
All right, Bill.
Well,
this is what we do to entertain ourselves here. Okay.
stand.
Okay, and go. I'm timing you.
So the katana, in opposition, is a much older, more respected weapon that has greater discipline with use. The practitioner with that weapon has to have a lot of skill sets and know how to not only do thrusting, but effective slash cuts, and the edge maintains perfect penetration with the force given, as well as piercing and the ability to wield the weapon in a much lighter manner. It's also very well made, and as well, it's, I guess you would say, something that cannot compare to the heavy, clumsy feel of a broadsword.
All right. I like it. Oh, whew, excuse me. The heavy, clumsy. See, I thought I was sunk. I thought you were going to bring up the curve, because I was afraid of that. The Leatherman broadsword. Exactly. The multi-tool for the modern day melee. No, but I was thinking that that curve that the katana has is something that the broadsword doesn't have, and I think to me it adds a little bit of I don't know, like power in the slash. So anyway, I thought that was a really good argument, especially about the lightness and the nimbleness of it. But you didn't ask for my opinion. We are adversaries in this case. So let's find out. That's a close one, says Monster Racing. Anyone else? Who thinks that the broadsword would be the one? See, now the purpose of these debates, Bill, and I believe the purpose of debates in general. I like to debate my older daughter, and I'm trying to get my younger daughter into it. But the point is to take aside whether or not you agree with it. And I'll with my daughter, I'll be like, okay, let's debate. I say that girls shouldn't learn how to fight. They are petite flowers and they need to be defended by boys and men. And that's how it should be, and you have to defend that. She's like, no, daddy, and I'm like, that's the point of debating. You have to find the strongest argument of your adversary and then take it apart. I don't know if we do that here, but it's fun to do, Katana is lighter and faster. And if you want to beat a big oaf with a broadsword, you use something fast and light and precise like a katana. Now, why are you assuming he's a big oaf? I'm assuming he's a light, nimble, underfed European. You ever look at the armor in the history museums? Always love the katana, says Blade Ogre. Me too. You ever see the suits of armor? They were not big people. At least the armor that I've seen in all the museums I've been to, because I'm assuming it's because they didn't drink milk and eat beef with bovine growth hormone, and whatever it was. They were smaller people, less food, less nourishment. So I don't know if they were big oafs carrying the. That's my defense anyway. My defensiveness, I think I'd have to pick katana, says Monster. Honestly, if I had to actually fight with either one of them, assuming I could, yeah, I would pick the katana too. Something about the beauty of it too, and the way they fold the steel and pound it and fold it and pound it and polish the hell out of it. That blade is going to slip through whatever it's presented with. The katana is the jack of all trades, master of none, which is good and bad. It's not purpose-built like most European swords are for specific purposes, whereas the katana is just run-of-the-mill self-defense implement. Interesting. Bob's argument was pretty well-rounded, but personally, I'd go katana. Thank you, Pancho. We have a diplomat in our midst. I agree. I think my argument was very well-rounded. Thank you. Oregon Knife Guy says, or underfed farmer who just got drafted into the Crusades. Yes, who has minimal training. How terrifying. Jeez, man. Here, take a sword. Put your plow down. Take a sword. You're gonna march 1,000 miles and go kill people with curved swords who don't look anything like you. Also, the katana is rare in that it's a curved saber, best for low skill and slashing, yet it's still an excellent stabber. Yeah, the curved thing, I was talking about the Crusaders going to fight, in the Middle East, and those shamshears and those big curved swords are terrifying. Something about being able to literally cut someone in two with a katana wins. I agree. I think Greg is actually onto probably the strongest point about the katana, and this is based on absolutely zero research or scientific knowledge on the fact, but I have a feeling that the katana, like any katana, was sharper than any broadsword, probably.
Yeah.
Lynn
Thompson can cut a pig in half, then anybody can cut someone in half with a katana.
Yeah.
But I think the broadsword's got to get points for an armored opponent. Like metal armor or whatever. Yeah. Like those broadswords are so big and heavy, you might be able to shove one right through someone's plates, or just whack them so hard with it they go down and then they can't get up.
Yeah, well, that's what they were often. Then having the blade mostly unsharp is like having a heavy club, but all of the energy is focused on a thin ridge of metal. So, I've read where knights would get bashed into their arm, like their armor would be like bashed in around them, and they were hard to actually pull out of their armor after being beaten up, basically bludgeoned with someone's broadsword. The curve of the katana comes from its differential heat treat. Yes, yeah, that's cool. You know, so the blade curves that way, which is, you know, if you watch Forged in Fire ever, you see blades curving laterally, and that's a bad thing. But if you want to make a katana, you got to differentially heat treat it so it curves up against the spine. I think that's really cool. I've had a lot of coffee, guys. I'm sorry. I'm totally dominating the conversation here. Ryan says, well, the speed as to which you can swing a katana is the primary advantage. Energy dissipation with a big old broadsword, it dumps super fast versus the katana, which will pass through more material. And I think that's where that culture, the Japanese culture of, and I don't know what the word is, but perfecting whatever your chosen skill is comes in, because it's a number of people that make that sword. You know, a couple of people pounding, two guys with hammers, another guy holding and heating, and another guy folding, and then a guy who does the polishing and the sharpening, and that's like many different layers or levels of sharpening and polishing, which makes, you know, and then there's a guy who makes the handle, and you know, so people have their chosen lane and they perfect it, and well, I don't know. I will cleave thee in twain. Cleave thee in twain, I will. That's what you have to do if you want to sound like a barbarian. I think you got to put the verb at the end, or the, I don't know. Yes, his
whatever part of the sentence that is.
Yes, exactly. His son's body I dismembered. Across the land I dispersed it. You know, like that.
Right.
Okay. All right. I think maybe perhaps with that bold statement, maybe we've come to the end here, gents. So what, before I let you go, I got to find out now, Bill, I know you're a collect 3, carry 1 guy, and but what do you think is on the horizon? Where do you see your collection of 3 going from here?
Well, it's collect 3 right now of Emerson, collect 3 of Cold Steel, and
I thought it was 3 in total.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of looking at that maker that you just bought. The oh god, it has that beautiful broad blade, handmade.
Black Rock Knives, Ken Vihikite.
It'll come to me. I'm having a senior moment. But yeah, I love that knife. And I looked at his website and I'm like, oh my God, they're like 3 digits. And I'm like, I can't do this right now. So it's the.
Is it this Steingraber Shark?
No, it's a folder.
A folder.
Yeah. I apologize. I should have had it. Yeah.
No. Oh, thank you, Monster. No. I but I hear you. Like it's definitely a jump, you know. And then you, if you're trying to maintain your program, you got to maintain your program. What about you, Benny? What's coming up for you? You got anything coming?
Well, so I ordered a Sebenza 21. I'm a lefty, right? So
okay.
As far as folding knives, I don't do right-handed locking knives. Just doesn't really work for me. So the Sebenza 21's discontinued. My buddy sent me a link. He's like, these Wilson Combat ones are real desired.
Ooh,
you got to
nice.
buy this. And I just needed someone to give me a reason to buy something, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have a small Sebenza, so I got the Wilson Insingo small Sebenza 21 coming. And that'll make a trifecta for me. I got a large Sebenza Cocobolo inlay, and I got a Umnandi Cocobolo inlay. So I'll have 3. Well, I got a Umnums on, so I guess that's 4.
Oh, nice.
The 4 Reeve lefty set. And, you know, I've been kind of wanting to get into something else. And, like, I think you got me infected with the need for a dagger. That
Ah.
Spartan, or that Harsey dagger
yeah.
you showed me from Spartan Blade, man. That
Which
thing
one?
is so
This one?
freaking nice. Yes.
Yeah.
The symmetry on that, like that just looks like, it's so stabby.
I got it. Attention to detail mercantile.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Oh man, his well, this is one of his folders, and then his he's making them with bearings now. This was one of his earlier folders, and I love it. It's great, but I'm looking forward to checking out the his stuff with bearings, and also his fixed blades. I have a fighter from him, a double-edged fighter. That's just sweet. Yeah. Okay. Well, Benny, I strongly encourage your going down the dagger rabbit hole. It is worth it. It is worth every dollar, every moment of thought.
Which one, the Randall or the Spartan?
Oh, geez. I mean, I would get this. Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, which one first? Which one first?
I mean, I think you're. I don't know.
Randall.
I think the Randall probably. Yeah. I mean, if you can find it, you should get it, because they're hard to find without ordering one. And like I said before, the ordering is the 5-year thing. But if you can find someone who's got one, and Arizona Custom Knives seems to have like a steady flow of Randalls that come in and out of that place. When I first got ready to get this one, I was looking at a number 1, which is that same blade, with a beautiful stag, beautiful stag handle. And, but I didn't get that, and someone else got it like that. So yeah, they go fast. I would say this, and the Spartan Harsey dagger, and the George Spartan dagger is super sweet too. Les George also did a dagger with Spartan blades, and it's phenomenal. Beautiful. Excuse me. And it's a little longer than this one. 3/4 of an inch longer than this one. Blade Ogre says, think the best dagger folder I've had is the Dagger Vendetta. That's cool. That's a Russian knife. It's a big one. I got to say, I love the Cold Steel Taipan. I've always wanted that knife. My bank account hates Arizona Custom Knives. Arizona Custom Knives loves your bank account, though. I can tell from that comment. All right, guys. I think that does it for me on this Thursday night. Thanks for coming, Bill. It was really nice to meet you in person, and to get to thank you in person, but also just to find out about your philosophy behind collecting, and also see that BMG. Benny, it was a pleasure to have you back on the show this week and see some of those fine slip joint knives. And we'll be here again next week. And whenever you guys feel like dropping in, drop in. It's part of what we do here, and it's so much fun. And that goes out to all the rest of you who are still here watching. Next time, drop in. Let me meet you.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
Oh, my pleasure. So for Bill S. and Benny, and of course Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I want to say thank you all for coming around. Check out this Sunday's interview. It's with Israel Bacchus. What a great name. Israel Bacchus of Arcane Design, making really, really cool folders. And we have a great conversation. He's an awesome guy. And until next time we meet, let me just tell you, don't take dull for an answer.